Keith here with Z Systems. Today, I'm going to show you 4 hidden features of the FS7. Nothing's going to magically make your footage look better, but hopefully it'll make operating the FS7 a little bit easier and a little less frustrating. Okay, this first one's not really a tip or trick that's going to speed up the operation of the camera, but it's a useful feature that I think is often overlooked on the FS7. To access the status page, you hit the status button on the side of the camera. You can think of these like a collected overview of the configuration of the camera. The camera status page gives you an overview of the preset settings of your camera: gain, gamma, NDs, and so forth. The audio status page gives you an overview of your audio settings, including meters for channels 3 and 4. The system status page gives you an overview of your recording settings, including format, picture size, and frame rate. The rest of the menus give you an overview of your video output status, your assignable button and dial status, your battery status, including charge count and manufacturer date, which can't be found anywhere else in the menus, your media status, and your record button settings. These status screens function similarly to the side panel displays on the F5 and F55 cameras and can save you a lot of time hunting around inside of the menus. While we're on the topic of menus, one of the biggest complaints we receive about the FS7 and Sony cameras in general are the menus. They're confusing. I can never find what I'm looking for. Operating the camera doesn't come naturally. And it's true. There are so many menus, submenus, and options that it can be overwhelming. And to make matters worse, the structure of the menus was designed by engineers for engineers. And so while they make a sort of sense logically, it doesn't make sense in the way that we interact with the cameras. There's good news, however, in that the user menu, the one at the very top of the list, is completely customizable. Inside of the user menu, at the bottom of the list, is a function for editing the user menu. From here, you can add, remove, refine, and rearrange what is in the menu, making it possible to have exactly what you want, how you want it. You can easily access your customized user menu by bringing it up using an assignable button. By default, user button 3 is assigned to user menu. This brings you directly into that custom menu that you made for easy access to the features that you want. If you don't always use the same camera, or if you share the camera with other people, or you rent instead of own, you can save your user menu setup onto an SD card under the user menu item, just like you can with all files, scene files, user gammas, and LUTs. This next one might be most useful for the FS7 Mark II and FS5, but might come in handy for owners of the Mark I as well. The FS7 has 2 dials that have assignable functions. One is on the side of the body. The other is on the hand grip. By default, these are set to control the iris. On the FS7 Mark II, there is a switch that alternates between controlling the iris and controlling the ND filter. But if you go into the menus, there are a lot more functions available. First, we need to know which dial is which. The assignable dial is the one on the hand grip. The iris dial is the one on the side of the body. For either dial, your options are off, which should be self-explanatory, iris, which should also be self-explanatory, ISO gain and exposure index using one of the dials, which could be handy in a documentary or news situation where your lighting conditions might change quickly, ND filter for adjusting the variable ND filter if there is one on the camera, focus, which allows for very fine control of autofocus lenses. Last is audio input level. Additionally, you can change the direction that the dial operates in, which is great if you're like me and always seem to be moving the dial in the wrong direction. With the assignable dials, you can get multiple functions set so that you don't have to be flipping switches or going into menus to get the functions that you want on the fly. This feature blew my mind the first time I saw Alistair Chapman use it in a presentation. It's been available on the F5 and F55 cameras since before the release of the FS7, and it's invaluable when working in Cine EI mode. Anybody that's worked with log footage knows how hard it can be to judge exposure and colors with an unprocessed image. Applying a LUT to the viewfinder can help you visualize, but you lose the ability to see the details that you're capturing in the highlights and the shadows. High-low key can help you out. It must be noted that you have to be in Cine EI mode and you have to have a LUT applied for this to work. High-low key is a function you can assign to one of the user assignable buttons. In this instance, I have it assigned to user button number 7. You hit the button with the high-low key function assigned to it once, and the camera shifts the portion of the gamma curve being displayed into the highlights with the LUT still applied so that you can see the detail being retained in the highlights. This is a great way to visually check that you are not blowing out your highlights, especially if you are intentionally overexposing your footage. Another press of the button shifts the image into the shadows so you can see the detail being picked up there. Press it a third time, and you are back to your standard view. And that's it. 4 hidden features of the FS7 that might speed up your workflow or might make it just a little bit easier to work with the camera. If you like this video and you want to see more, click subscribe or go to our website, zsyst.com. That is zsyst.com, and go to the bottom of the homepage and subscribe to our mailing list. Thanks for watching.